Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's review, I thought we would do something a little more express this time. As you can see, I'm already wearing some pretty heavy makeup. I was wearing this all day at work, so if it doesn't look particularly great, just excuse that. But I thought that we would do a review on the palette that I actually used to create this look. And I was going to give you my opinions and thoughts on it, which of course are my own, and it's not against a company or any companies which I purchased this from. It's just my personal opinion on this palette. I also haven't seen a lot based on this palette, which is why I wanted to do this. So the palette that I am actually talking about is the Smoke Sessions by Melt Cosmetics. Now, if you know anything about Melt Cosmetics, they are pretty brand new to the scene in Canada anyway. I have seen them on an independent website. Sephora just picked them up a couple months ago. They have some lipsticks. They have a whole bunch of eye palettes. Actually, they have 4 eye palettes, I believe, and a whole bunch of rounds. The stacks are what they call them. And I think the biggest sell for this company was something called a neon stack. It started when the neon makeup was sort of becoming trendy. They had this gorgeous neon stack, which it's sold out now. I couldn't get one, but you have to get it from the website. Sephora actually never got it. No, Sephora Canada never got it, excuse me. So you do have to get it from their website, but it's gone. Now, with this brand, this is quite expensive, okay? This palette was I want to say 62 to 64, I can't remember exactly, Canadian dollars from Sephora. That's quite pricey for a palette of this size, in my opinion, and I will show you why in a second. But I actually love this packaging. The little marijuana leaves here are, I don't smoke marijuana personally, and it's not my jam, but I can appreciate the images and the products and the CBD and the rest of it. Like I don't actually use any of those products, but they have some great health benefits. Like, so I'm told they have like the Kush. I'm not sure. I really don't know if they compare, but I've seen a lot of products with CBD, mostly in the States. We don't have anything here yet in Canada that I have found at mainstream beauty stores. One thing, if you're in the US and you haven't heard of it, if you're an avid Sephora shopper, is something called Lord Jones. They put a bunch of CBD products, or a bunch of CBD oil in their products. However, those are not legal to come across the border. So my Canadian friends, if you're going down to the US, do not pick this product up and want to carry it across the border. That is illegal. You can get hit with a fine, and actually I believe there is a charge associated with it, because I actually saw it happen at the border very, very recently, and the border guard didn't charge the individuals that were trying to bring it back. Not myself, the individuals trying to bring it back, but they gave them a $500 fine. So and they seized it. So that's extremely expensive fine for CBD oil. So just please don't do it. We'll have to, my Canadian friends will have to bear without it until we can get some in Canada. Also, Melt Cosmetics, if you wanted to try a lipstick out, in my previous video, the favorites, when I just reviewed Sephora favorites, the newest one, there was a Melt lipstick in there. I won't tell you my thoughts on that. I will link the video either at the end, or I'll put a card if I remember, so you can check that out, see what shade and what I thought of it. But anyways, this is the carton, or the package rather, the component. And again, it's got the exact same print as the front of it. It literally mirrors. It's cardboard. I mean, like, it's a flimsy kind of cardboard. It's not like great quality for $64. I would have expected more personally. And the back just says Melt, gives you their web address, and distributed by Melt Cosmetics, and they're in Chatsworth, California, made in the USA. So that's all that says there. And the box basically says apply around eyes as directed. That's all it says. It lists all the ingredients and then tells you to keep out of reach of children and not for children under the age of 3 years old. I don't know what child under the age of 3 years old is using a $64 palette, but anyway, if you are, don't let your kids use this palette. In case of irritation, discontinue use for external use only. Okay, so when we open this up, now I have used this, so you do have the plastic sheet, which is nice, and this is your color story on the inside. So you have Gravity OG, Granddaddy, Black Widow, Sour Diesel, Space Queen, Mean Green, Sweet Tooth, and Blue Dream. Now I assume, I'm going to go out on a limb, that those are strands of marijuana. That's my assumption. If I'm not, please, like I said, it's not my thing, so if I'm wrong and that's something else, just don't come for me. Anyways, So this is what the palette looks like on the inside, and you'll notice that in the center here, I'm just going to cover that mirror because I don't want it to throw off my camera. You will notice in the center here that these are the only two matte shadows, which for me is a bit of a problem because they're both dark. The rest of the shadows are actually, they're beautiful, but they're extremely soft. They're a pressed, I'd almost call it a pressed shadow. It's like a pressed shimmer. I'm not sure if you can see it on my eyes, but it's extremely shimmery. Like, it's gorgeous, but it crumbles. Like, if you drop this, this is not the palette to be traveling with because this will break if it hits the ground. True story, I had a stack from Melt Cosmetics a while ago. It fell off my table here, which is probably half my height. It's probably like 3 feet, maybe 4 feet off the floor, and it fell off onto my carpet and it broke. So this is a very, very delicate eyeshadow, not the palette you want to be traveling with. I love the color story. My problem is this palette is, for me, not that usable. What I did to create this look here was I actually took a Peaches and Cream PC22 and I went into Space Queen, and what I did was I just put a V. I don't have a mirror here. Well, actually I do have a mirror. I started off with a V here, drew my desired shape, and I filled it in a little bit. And then I moved on to starting from lightest to darkest using a MAC flat packer brush, and this is so old. I'm not sure. This looks like 233 or 230. It's completely come off. I packed using this brush Blue Dream, Sweet Tooth, and Mean Green, starting from lightest to darkest from the center of the lid back. And I actually, before I did that, I cut away with some P. Louise base in the shade Rumor. It's shade 2 anyways. I cut away to try to get as much of a cut crease as I could. With hooded eyes, it's a little bit more difficult. And this shade is very dark. I'll swatch some of these for you in a minute. This shade's very dark, so the cutting process took quite a while. I don't have a lot of time in the morning, so this was pretty express. And then right in the corner of the eye to where I started with Blue Dream, I used, which one did I use? I used Gravity OG because it was the lightest and I didn't want anything too dark. The problem with that is when I put on Space Queen, it was so dark, I actually found myself wanting to reach for another palette to brighten that green up. So I ended up using Oceanfront, this green here, from the Flamingo Violet Boss palette. And all I did with that was I blended it around, not with this, I blended it around my Space Queen originally and into the crease here because it was so dark it was almost black. So I had to work it out a little bit and then feather it and blend it out, and then I added some more Space Queen just for depth back in the crease. And I actually used Sour Diesel, which is the brown shade, on my waterline, which has probably all come off by now, but on my waterline because the look was so dark that I didn't want to add anything extra. Personally, I don't like palettes where I have to rely on another palette to do a complete look with. If you're going to be charging that much for a palette, in my opinion, you should be able to create a completely comprehensive look. However, these don't blend that easily. You can pack them on top of each other fine enough, but if you're trying to shear them out, that's not really how they, in my opinion, in my experience, by no means am I like master, they don't really blend all that great unless you're going to start stacking them. And I'll show you a few swatches. So we're going to swatch Space Queen first. Like, that's Space Queen. It's incredibly pigmented. It's extremely matte. Like, it swatches beautifully, but it's very dark. And then I went with Blue Dream, which this is what it comes out as. So it's actually more of a pressed shadow. Here's Sweet Tooth. Again, that's how it comes out. Like, these are gorgeous. Honestly, they swatch fantastically. And this is Mean Green. Right, I'm just going to wipe off my fingers really quickly here. You have to wipe off. Sour Diesel, which is quite dark again. Black Widow is a gold. Oh, I didn't use this one this morning. That's Black Widow there. Here's Granddaddy. And I'll do Gravity OG, which is the lightest one, the one I used on the inside of my eye this morning. So that is Granddaddy. I'm sorry, no, that's Gravity OG, and that is Granddaddy right below it. Now, these are incredibly pigmented. They're incredibly gorgeous. But if you're gonna go try to blend the gold shades or whatever green shades together, these like metallic shadows, in my opinion, they don't really blend all that well. Like, I would use these more as a topper or more as like in the inner corner than I personally would try to make a full comprehensive look out of all metallic shadows. I just don't, like, an all metallic eye might be pretty on some people, and I'm sure some people could master it. I don't think I could, and this would not be a palette I would reach for all the time. And having said that, there are cheaper palettes on the market that are encompassing green shadows. Maybe not these pressed, well, actually they probably do. Maybe not these metallic shadows, but, watch, I'm gonna touch my face. Jeffree Star's Alien palette encompasses a lot of green tones if you really like green, and I believe the Thirsty palette does have like a pressed, albeit I didn't find it that good, but a pressed gold. There's a lot of palettes that are not $64 that would have colors very similar to these that you could do a full, and probably additional colors on top of that. The pans might not be as big, but you could do a full look. They'll have these and more, in my opinion. You should try, like I said, start with the Jeffree Star, because that was loaded with greens. But if green's really your thing, grab this palette. I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from grabbing it. It's a very nice palette. Did I find it particularly easy to work with? I mean, it wasn't bad. It's just, it's very dark. Other than these gold shades we can see here, these are mostly dark. And you have 3 light shades. So, smoky eye going out in the evening, yeah, it'd be great. Just for the price point, I wouldn't 1000% recommend people run out and pick this up, because it is so expensive for a palette you may or may not get a ton of use out of. Whereas you go with, like, I don't know, a much larger Color Story palette, like take this Violet Voss for, oh, okay, shadow everywhere. Take this Violet Voss one, for example. You have some pressed, you have some shimmers in here. That one there, Tidal Wave. You've got one here, 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 and here. Oh, here and here. And you have a full array of colors that you could work with. There are not a lot of greens, but like, you know what I'm getting at. You can get a palette with tons of greens in it. So that is just my quick thoughts and opinions on that palette, guys. I do hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, it was an Express Beauty review. Nothing too in-depth. We're not that serious over here. So if you did enjoy that, please give this video a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next one.